Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back for returning viewers. Before we get started, I wanted to have a quick disclaimer. This video was originally recorded back in early October, but as you can see, it did not make it out around Halloween as I originally intended. But honestly, I really liked this concept for a video, and I didn't want to put all the footage to waste, so I am re-recording all of my commentary. Basically what I'm getting at is, sorry for the delay, and please enjoy this video despite it being a little past season. So back when I first had the idea for this video, the Monster High Skullector release for Alien dropped, and I was not able to get it. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge Alien fan, I never was, never really got into it, but that got me thinking. I thought to myself, what movies would I want to see a Skullector from? So that's where I got the idea for this video. The first step, and probably the most difficult part of the process, for me wasn't drawing the designs, it was actually just picking out movies that I could base the Skullectors off of. For my Skullectors, I wanted to choose movies that I had actually seen, just so that I could better understand the lore and make a more accurate doll. This did, however, narrow the pickings for me because I am not a huge movie person. I've seen a decent amount of movies, but not enough to call myself an expert or anything. The second roadblock I ran into was deciding which characters to make into dolls. While there are many horror icons to choose from, I didn't feel like doing a slasher villain because, to me, there's not a lot to work with. Most of the slasher villains that I am aware of rely on a spooky mask, a solid colored jumpsuit or cloak, and a weapon, usually a blade of some sort. While I'm not saying by any means these aren't interesting characters, I just don't think visually I could have made very compelling dolls. Especially if I'm doing multiple characters in one video, I didn't want them all to have the same gimmick or have a really similar look. That wouldn't be very interesting to watch. So for today's video, I chose 4 movies, some more niche, some more popular, to make some Monster High Skullector doll designs from. At least for the first character of the video, I had to go with something iconic. So for our first Monster High Skullector doll design, I went with Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands as inspiration. Just letting you know, before we get too far into the sketch, yes, I did gender bend Edward Scissorhands. I know in the past I've talked about boy doll representation, but if you weren't aware of Skullector dolls, this is actually a really common thing Mattel does to the male characters. Despite my stance on boy dolls, I don't really mind the gender bending in this case. I think at times it allows the designers more creative freedom to stray from the original design while also keeping it recognizable. That's enough disclaimers for now, so let's get into the design. First thing you probably noticed was I added a sort of skirt, dress, cape thing, I don't really know what to call it, but I thought it added to the silhouette. I was really stuck going back and forth between just giving the doll pants versus just a skirt. But then I was like, why not do both? So she has a sort of cape thing going on, but she also does have some tights and pants below with the skirt. As you can see, my indecisive nature got the best of me, so I was like, why not do both? For the hair, I could have also just done a kind of messy hairstyle, but then I was thinking about hair design and how messy the hair on dolls already gets just by existing. So I went for a more stylized look. I referenced a lot of alternative hairstyles from Pinterest and stuff, but I really liked the spiky look along with a little bit of the messy waves. So as you can see, I included that in the hairstyle. It's not super accurate to the character originally, but I think it's a pretty cool interpretation. A few things I wanted to mention about my design. One thing you've probably already noticed, based on the design, is that I simplified the hands. I didn't do them super accurate to the movie, and this was on purpose. I was just thinking, in the case that someone were to 3D model this, I wouldn't want to make the hands super complicated. If you weren't aware already, I am also a 3D modeler, and just knowing how hard it is to 3D model things already, I wouldn't want to put that on someone else to do movie-accurate hands. Not to say it can't be done, but I honestly wouldn't want to be the person tasked with that. I tried to include as many belts as possible, but also keeping it tasteful. I also had to do the platform shoe, and yes, I did do an object heel, I couldn't help it. The scissor just fit perfectly, you know? Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I tried to include a few little Easter eggs too to the movie, but only some of them were successful. If you look closely, you can see that I changed the earrings from regular just rings into something that resembles the paper cutouts that Edward Scissorhands did in the movie. I thought it would be a fun little nod to the film. I also tried to include some topiary into the design, but I wasn't super successful with that just because the green wasn't really fitting in with the blacks and reds. If I were to do some accessory design, I think I would have tried to include it there. Maybe like a little plant that she holds, or maybe like a little handbag. And for the colors, I didn't stray far from the original design as well. Most of it is just black with a little bit of accents of red. In the end, I'm pretty satisfied with how she turned out. I'm thinking maybe I could have pushed it a little further. I could have gone a little bit more glam, a little bit more out there, but there's also the possibility that I could have just overdone it. And knowing myself, I do tend to overdo designs, so pretty happy with how it turned out. Here she is. For the second design, I chose a character from a more recent movie. As of the recording of this video, this movie has been out for a few months, so if you don't want to get spoiled, go ahead and watch it, but you have been warned. The character I designed this collector off of is the villain Gladys in the new Weapons movie. From what I understand of the movie, Gladys seems to be a witch of some sort using blood magic to control others, as well as draining their life force. Typically, I'm not a huge fan of when movies use the trope of old women being innately evil or scary, but I do have to say, I did enjoy Gladys in this movie. I feel like the type of charm she displays could only be executed by an older woman for it to be believable and as intimidating as it actually became. For her doll, however, I chose to make her in a younger form. I'd like to imagine she would look something more like this once she had drained all the power from those kids, but spoiler alert, we never get to see that, so this is just my interpretation of a more modern and chic look for Gladys. I tried my best to maintain the essence of Gladys while also making her look like she could be a Monster High student. Her new outfit that I designed is very reminiscent of the outfit she wore during the office sequence. When she gets called into the office by the principal, she wears this pink and red outfit, and I thought it was just really cute. It was between this one and the jumpsuit, but in the end I chose to go with her more formal look, and I think it turned out pretty well. So for our third design, I took inspiration from Guillermo del Toro's Crimson Peak. It's a little bit of a lesser known movie. I personally enjoyed it, but I know that there are others who weren't so fond of it, which is fair. But anyway, what I was really inspired by in this movie was the design of the ghosts. I'm about to discuss some spoilers, so if you haven't seen this movie and you want to see it eventually, you can skip this section too. But as I was saying, I really love the ghost designs. Making all the victims completely red because of like the red clay thing, that was very clever to me, and I really just aesthetically love the completely red ghosts. And obviously, since I like the red design so much, I ended up doing a red ghost as my Skullector doll for this movie. But instead of choosing a singular ghost to design the doll off of, I actually kind of combined all of them in a way. I took aspects of all the different victims of the Crimson Peak Mansion and then kind of combined them into one character. So if you're looking at the design, you can probably see I added a few of the different injuries that they sustained that eventually led to their deaths. This doll is a little bit more gory than the other ones, I should warn you. It's nothing crazy, but in case you're sensitive to gore, maybe skip this one. Along with the inspiration of the victims' ghosts, I was also kind of inspired by Corpse Bride. After seeing the release of the Corpse Bride doll, I was a little disappointed, I'll be honest, but I feel like that disappointment kind of translated itself into this doll, so I took some aspects of the Corpse Bride and tried to include it in here as well. I tried to keep her fashion and hairstyle pretty accurate to the movie's time period, although I did add a lot of extra detail in regards to the fact that they were murdered and their bodies weren't really disposed of in a nice way, so I'd imagine their clothes would be a bit damaged or tarnished or just not in pristine condition, but in a chic way. I don't have much to say in regards to the color. As I mentioned previously, all the victims' ghosts are completely red, aside from a few black or very dark, kind of wine-colored accents. But even with a really monochrome color palette, it was really fun to do this design and color it as well. While I know this movie isn't super popular, I hope the few that do enjoy this movie also enjoy this doll. I had a fun time designing it, and I think it came out pretty nice. Last but not least, my fourth and final drawing is of Wendell and Wild as Skullector Monster High Dolls. Similarly to Crimson Peak, this one is a little bit lesser known. Wendell and Wild is a stop-motion animation film on Netflix, and I actually really love this movie. I may be biased because I have a soft spot in my heart for stop-motion animation, but I really did enjoy watching this movie. The animation and storytelling are both amazing, and the characters are super intriguing and distinct. But you didn't come here for a movie review, so here are the dolls, let's get into it. As you probably have already noticed, there are two dolls that I'm drawing for this movie. But no, they will not actually be Wendell and Wild. I kinda combined Wendell and Wild into one character, and the other character in the set would be Kat, the main character. Kat's look is pretty similar to how it is in the movie. I just kinda restyled her to make her look more like a Monster High character, along with her school uniform and a purse that looks like her little boombox. Kat's original look in the movie is pretty alternative on its own, so I didn't really feel like I had to add much to hers. And also, I didn't really want to give her a ball gown or anything too fancy that didn't really seem in character for her. Moving on to the second character, I kinda combined Wendell and Wild into one character and then gender swapped it. If you haven't seen the movie, Wendell and Wild are these little purple demons. They're practically little chaos junkies and cause a lot of problems throughout the movie, but they are dressed nice, so that's one thing. So in accordance of the characters that I had to work off of, the demon girl is purple and she's shorter than Kat. I also dressed her up in a bit of a business casual outfit to match the aesthetic of Wendell and Wild. I also included a little Easter egg to the movie. If you look really close, her earrings are the hair cream. If you know, you know. Lastly, for the colors, I kept everything pretty movie accurate. The only really notable things that I did switch up are the eye color of Wendell and Wild's character, and Kat has her little hand tattoo thing. While these two were fun to draw and design, they're pretty movie accurate, so that shows a lot for how much I enjoy this movie. I hope you enjoyed their designs as well. Alright, here's the final lineup for my Skullector Monster High dolls. As you can see, they're all very different from one another, but it kinda speaks to the beauty of spooky movies. Some are more lighthearted and family-friendly, while others are not, let's just say that. But nonetheless, they're all art in their own way, and there's always something out there for everyone. Thanks so much for watching my video. I'm hoping this winter to make a little bit more content for you guys, but then again, I am going to have a full-time job instead of school, so we'll see how that goes. I'm trying to branch out a little bit more from just Monster High into more toy-related content in general, but making videos that are not just commentary and my drawings has proven to be quite a task. I'm gonna try my best to make more content, some related to Monster High, some not, but let me know what you would prefer in the comments. I am always open to suggestions. Thank you again for watching this video, and see you in the next one. Bye!